Yeah, make sure that goes, that's identified as being a part of that last Monday hearing in Ripley anyway. You're gonna need some extra chairs, Ricky, you got them? All right, you know what to do. Good morning, and welcome to Oxford. We started a little late today because I know y'all had a late night getting in last night, and I know because I did too. So thank y'all for being here. I appreciate it really again. I appreciate y'all sacrificing for being here. Every time we take a break, I'm going to try to remember to ask you this, and every time you come back from a break, I'm going to try to remember to tell you this. I trust that no one had any problem with the court's instructions not to investigate the case, not to talk about the case, even amongst yourselves, not to let anyone talk the case about talk the case to you, not to form or express any opinions about the case, not to deliberate the case until you've heard all the evidence, the instructions of law, and arguments from counsel and beginning deliberations. If you ever have any time somebody wants to discuss the case with you or express any opinions, you tell them you're on the jury and that they persist, you contact me or one of the bankers, okay? But if you ever have any problems in that regard, let me know. I don't anticipate any problems, but I'm also going to encourage you not to, as I said, stay off social media. Don't tell anybody you're on the jury on social media because you can control what you say, but you can't control what somebody tells you. I am not going to take your phones away from you. Don't use them while you're here in court. Don't use them to Google any facts or anything about this case, any terminology or any Google Maps or any what the law is or anything along those lines anyway. All right? We are actually started nearly on time today. 5 minutes in the court business, 5 minutes late, it's usually considered about 30 minutes early. Y'all figured that out yesterday when we take a 15-minute break and come back to 45 minutes later. I apologize in advance for that because this won't be the last time, but I want you to know that if we take a short break and it turns into a long break, we're not just sitting around drinking coffee and eating donuts. We are trying to make sure that everything goes correct and we get it right. There's very important matters that we're dealing with, and you would want us right if you were involved. And so if you think if things aren't moving as fast as you want them to, and there's too many delays, don't hold them against these parties. Don't hold them against the state. Don't hold them against the defense. If you got to blame somebody, blame me. Okay? I get paid for things like that, all right? But I appreciate your patience with us. I'm going to now, as y'all noticed yesterday, I pretty much winged it. And I just talked to you off the top of my head. But I'm going to now just read you some instructions that sort of tell you what to anticipate in this case moving forward. Just pay attention as I read, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, you have been selected as the trial jurors in this case. Now that we are about to begin the trial, there are some preliminary matters that I would like to share with you so that you will better understand what will happen during the trial. There are several things that you will probably want to keep in mind during the process of this trial. First of all, you should pay close attention to the testimony of the witnesses who will testify as to what they saw, heard, or experienced, as well as any opinions given by expert witnesses and other evidence, together with the law given to you by the court. Your verdict should be based on two things and two things alone, the law and the evidence. During the course of the trial, it may be necessary for you to leave the courtroom and retire to the jury room while the court passes on questions of law or admissibility of evidence. This is not to conceal anything from you. It is merely that in some circumstances, it is the duty of the court to pass on certain matters before they can be presented to you for your consideration. Also, if the court sustains an objection, the jury should disregard the question and any answer which may have been given. I've been told, and you've been told, this trial can take up to 2 weeks. I don't know who all the witnesses is. I have to rely on these attorneys to tell me how long they think, and that's the best estimate they can give. We hope to get through before then, but that's the best estimate they can give me anyway. Hang in there with us. But trial is expected to last up to 2 weeks, but as I've told before, we'll do our very best to move the case along, but delays frequently occur. This won't be anyone's fault, so don't hold it against the parties. These delays most of the time are because the attorneys and I need to resolve certain legal matters before they can be presented to you in court. The usual hour of the trial will be from 9 to approximately 9 a.m. to approximately 5 p.m. We will take a short recess about every hour and a half. However, I want to emphasize that if any of you need a break for any reason, just raise your hand and tell me or the bailiff that you need a break, and we will break right then regardless of where we are in the trial. I'm going to take a break from my reading and tell you I mean that when I say that. We've dragged you up here against your will to Oxford, Mississippi. We intend for you to be comfortable. We intend to take care of you the best way. If you need something, if you need a break, if you need anything to make your stay here more comfortable, let us know. And we're going to do our best to make you as comfortable as we can. Okay? So don't suffer in silence. All right? I want you to be relaxed and comfortable as you can under the circumstances. The trial generally proceeds in this order. First, the state will make an opening statement giving a preview of their case. The defendant's attorney may also make an opening statement outlining their case. This will normally be done immediately after the state's opening statement, but if the defense chooses, they may postpone their opening statement until after the state case in chief has been presented. What is said in opening statement is not evidence. The purpose of an opening statement is simply to help you to understand the case. Then the state will present their case. After the state rests, the defense may present witnesses. If the defense does produce evidence, the state may present additional or what we call rebuttal evidence. For each witness, there will be a direct examination, a cross-examination by the opposing side, and finally a redirect examination. This usually ends in testimony. After all the evidence is in, I will read you and give you copies of the final instructions of law, which you will follow in reaching your verdict. The attorneys will then make their respective closing arguments to tell you what they think about the evidence and how they think you should decide the case. The state has the burden of proof and will make the opening closing arguments. The defense will then follow, and then the state will make its final close. As in opening statements, what is said in closing arguments is not evidence. You will then retire to the jury room to deliberate your verdict. Once you reach a verdict, it will be read in open court with you and the parties present. Then you will be finally discharged from your duties. I want to remind you of what we've talked about before. You should keep an open mind throughout the case, and you should reach a decision about the case only after you've heard all of the evidence, the final instructions of law, the closing arguments of counsel, and have entered into your deliberations. You should not discuss the case with anyone, including your fellow jurors, until the case is concluded and you have begun your deliberations. Should anyone attempt to talk with you or communicate with you in any way about this case, you tell them that you are on the jury, and if they persist, you notify me or an officer of the court, and we will take care of the problem. I know it is natural to talk with people whom you are in contact with, but do not talk to any of the attorneys, parties, witnesses, or spectators who are in or out of the courtroom. If you meet them in the hallway or elevator, there's nothing wrong with saying good morning or good afternoon, but the conversation should end there. Not that you do anything wrong or the attorneys or party would do anything wrong, but we must avoid all appearance of impropriety. If the attorneys or witnesses do not greet you outside the court, they are not being rude, but they are just carefully observing the rules of the court. Do not attempt to investigate the case on your own. The case is decided in the courtroom by the testimony of witnesses and the law that is given to you. Do not be on social media concerning this matter that your jury service. Some cases I let jurors take notes. Some cases I don't. A little short trial I may not, because you run the risk of somebody taking note and everybody else relying on their note. In this particular case, because of the length of the case, I'm going to let you take notes. I think the clerk had provided the notepad. If you would like to do so, you may take notes during the course of the trial. On the other hand, you are not required to take notes if you prefer not to do so. Each of you should make your own decision about this. If you decide to take notes, be careful not to get so involved in note-taking that you become distracted from the ongoing proceeding. Notes are only a memory aid, and jurors' notes may be used only as aids to refresh that particular juror's memory and assist that jury in calling that testimony. Each of you must rely on your own independent recollections of the proceeding. Whether you take notes or not, each of you must form and express your own opinion as is facts of the case. An individual juror may be used by that juror only, and that may not be shown or shared with other jurors. You will notice that we have an official court reporter making a record of trial. However, we will not have typewritten transcript of this record available for you in reaching the decision in this case. Parties is the rule invoked.
Yes, sir.
You've heard that the rule has been invoked. That's a term we call it technically the rule of sequestration. But that's a big old word to say, because we do call it the rule. And what that means is when one witness is testifying, the other witnesses cannot be in the room to hear what the other witness is saying. And there are sometimes exceptions to that rule that you may note going along, but generally when one party is testifying, other witnesses cannot be present. Any objection to the court's initial instruction of this matter?
Not from the state.
Not from the bench.
All right. Y'all ready to kick off? All right, here we go. We're going to start with opening statement. This trial is underway. You may make an opening statement for the state, and I'm not going to tie you to the whale there. You can make your opening statement wherever you feel comfortable doing so. Okay. I don't. For the record, I don't have any idea who your witnesses are. I'm counting on each side to make sure their witnesses are not in the courtroom. I can't help you in that regard. All right. If you're ready, you may make your opening statement from wherever you feel comfortable.
Ms. Clerk.
Have it?
Morning.
name is Gwen Otto, and I, along with District Attorney Ben Creekmore, we are here to represent the state of Mississippi. So during jury selection, I know yesterday the hours on thing, we heard a little bit about this case. We know it was a murder. We know capital murder. We know that no body was ever found. But the person, that body was a person. And his name was Jimmie Jay Lee III. Jay Lee. That's what he likes to be referred to as. And as much as this case is about his death, it's about his life. Throughout this trial, you're going to hear a lot about Jay's life. Who he was, who he wasn't, because all of that stopped because of Timothy Herrington. And as we walk through the evidence, the case, we're going to put on a lot of witnesses because this is important. We spent all day doing that yesterday. So who was Jay? Well, his friends and family are going to testify. You're going to hear that he was vibrant. He was, he walked to his own feet. He knew who he was, and he was confident in himself. You're going to hear, obviously we know he was a part of the LGBTQ community. That came out during voir dire. And he, like I said, he knew who he was. If he wanted to wear heels that day, he was going to wear heels. If he wanted to wear silk pants, he was going to wear silk pants. But he was more than just that. You're going to hear he was family oriented. He loved his mother more than anything, his whole family. They talked every day, every single day. They talked about what he had going on, she had going on. He was 20 years old. He actually just graduated from Ole Miss, early, and with honors. Ladies and gentlemen, you're going to hear how his little dog that he loved, that he lived up there with, he had for over 2 years. Unfortunately, on July 8th, 2022, all of that ended. But July 8th, 2022, tragically, while also the day that Jay died, it's also his mother's birthday, which is significant because the evidence will show when she didn't hear from him, she was worried. Throughout this trial, I would have liked to joke that how I don't talk to my dad every day. If he didn't hear from me for 2 days, he's not going to call a welfare check. But the evidence will show that Jay contacted his mother 2 a.m. on July 8th because it was her birthday. And that when she received that communication at 7, she responded. She gave him some time because she thought that, he might be asleep, and he's 20-year-old, just graduated. He's planning on going to grad school, who knows what he's doing. But when she didn't hear from him, she called. She asked for a welfare check. The evidence will further show that sometime after he contacted her at 2 a.m., because it was her birthday, he left his house, his apartment, Campus Walk Apartments, in Oxford, Mississippi, is on campus. for the first time around 4 sometime in the morning to go to the apartment of Timothy Herrington. The evidence will further show that that interaction didn't go so well. Jay left and he was upset. And then you will see that at 6 a.m., close around 6 a.m., witnesses will testify for the exact time Jay left for the second time and the last time, because he never returned to that apartment again. And where was he going? Well, the evidence, ladies and gentlemen, will show he was going to the apartment of Timothy Herrington again. But why? Because Tim, Mr. Herrington, had invited him back over. The evidence will show that although Jay was upset, Tim had promised that if he came back over, he was going to make it up to him. See that first meeting at 4 earlier? Jay and Tim had sexual contact. Jay looked upset. Tim invited him over to make it up to him. The evidence will show that Tim, he was not openly in the LGBTQ community. In fact, he told officers, I don't do that, what Jay wanted him to do. But despite that, he invited Jay back over with the promise that he was going to do something he never done before. Ladies and gentlemen, you will see how the police traced Jay to that apartment. You will see that when Jay gets there, he lets Timothy know he's there. But right before Jay gets to the apartment, when he's headed over, right before he gets there, just a mere minutes, Timothy searches how long does it take to strangle someone. The evidence will further show that Jay never left that apartment on his own. Ladies and gentlemen, the detectives will tell you how they discovered Timothy was a suspect. They will tell you what he did the day after, or the same day after. We're going to walk through all the evidence. And they're going to tell you how we know that Jay is no longer alive. In preparing to speak to you all today, I was looking at some quotes and reading some things like I do, and I saw something and it said, "The rest is silence." Because I was thinking, what makes up a life? Jay's death is in silence. No more financial transactions. No more social media posts. No more contacts with his mother, not checking up on her, not on her birthday. No more contact with his dogs. No more anything. The plans for grad school to move, the dreams, all proof that Jay is no longer with us. In that proof, that is how you know that we must seek justice. And at the conclusion of the evidence, I'm going to come back before you. And I'm going to ask that you provide the only verdict that justice will demand. And it's going to be guilty. Thank you.
All right, everybody good on the jury? Officer, back, I want to see if anybody out there, this started the show, that would like to come in. I'm going to ask you, well, there's anybody coming and going on to come, then we having breaks. But if there's anybody out there that wants to come in now or leave now, they can do so. And you wish to make a opening statement this time, Mr. Horan? Well, go ahead and be getting warmed up anyway. Be tuning up, okay?
Thank you.
I'll just see if there's anybody there. All right. Once you're out, you're out. Once you're in, you're in.
I proceed, Your Honor.
Give me 1 minute. Go ahead. You done your...
Thank you, Your Honor. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I want to tell each one of y'all, some of y'all sitting on this chair here today, which is one more answer to a question from the judge and counsel still being Hattiesburg with the family. One question it would have been easy for each one of y'all, or at least some of them, to have answered the question a different way, and you wouldn't be in Arlington, Mississippi. And I appreciate the fact that each one of y'all found your way to Arlington and willing to do your civic duty for the citizens of the state of Mississippi and the people of Arlington, and for the parties here today. I want to talk to you a little bit about the counsel opposite talked about as far as what they anticipate showing you in their case. First of all, I recall Pretmore using an old, what we call common law term of embezzlement. That is, tricking somebody to come over, or a child, normally it's in the case of children at a park or something, get a child, and you don't have to take them anywhere else. You take with them at that point in time, and technically, the heist is the kidnapping. Now, I noticed, during the opening statement, they didn't mention anything about the kidnapping aspect of it. They've got to prove that, Your Honor. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, they have got to prove that. That means that during the course of what they claim they're going to put into evidence, there's certain messages or conversations between Jay Lee and my client, they got to establish that happened. Because if that didn't happen, the rest of their case goes like a house of cards. You're going to, assuming the court allows any of this messaging and social media evidence in before you, you're going to hear that approximately 2:03, 2:04 in the morning, Jay Lee reached out, assuming it comes in, evidence, to Mr. Herrington. And I implore you to find anything in what they provided to us that supports the proposition that there was any threat or anything in those messages that my client threatened him in any way, Mr. Lee. And I don't doubt, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to hear evidence about how Jerry's mother loved him. I'm not saying he was a bad person, certainly not. The court's going to instruct you at the conclusion of this case that you cannot allow sympathy or a mother come into play here. You consider what she says as evidence. But y'all have got to decide this case facts. And what you're gonna hear is nothing about a threat in shape, form, or fashion from my client. And you're not gonna hear that he searched anything about strangling anybody, that he gathered any information for that purpose. Now, I'm going to say this, you can tell by the board hour yesterday, these are touchy subjects for everybody to get involved in. It doesn't matter whether or not it's heterosexual conduct or otherwise. Talking about the creases of the night, the late hours, about two consenting adults, what they're doing late at night, it's just touchy. Hard to board iron, hard to talk to George about it, people that have never met before. But I say that because nothing against the young man, but there's going to be a lot of information I think you're going to hear about Mr. Lee's conduct prior to this night and the manner in which he conducted himself. I'm not passing judgment on the young man. Those are facts. You cannot abandon your sense of responsibility. And that's what they're going to ask you to do. Worry about the facts. Worry about compassion. Worry about sin. Things that occurred in his life, it was not unusual for him to be going out in the middle of the night. I think the evidence is going to show. I didn't make these things up. It's going to be stuff that the state provided to us. Okay? Just the way it is. He did go over. Always what I anticipate the state is going to present to you. And again, assuming that the judge allows that evidence to come in, you did go to my client's apartment. It's going to be their theory. But it was completely unannounced. No evidence otherwise. Not that they provided unless they're going to give it to us during the course of this trial. It'll be the first time I've heard it. And you're not going to hear anything during the course of their conversations about any argument. In fact, again, I keep saying it, assuming the state gets that proof in, Jay Lee makes a comment, makes you think he sins. If this goes bad, it's not going to be good for you. I'm going to read that. And again, assuming it gets that far. Now, let's talk a little bit about what the state's required to prove and what I don't think their evidence is going to show. Proof of a death. First of all. Proof of any death whatsoever. 0. DNA evidence, blood, urine, trace evidence whatsoever. What counsel opposite told you that we don't have a body, not only do they not have a body, ladies and gentlemen, they don't have one scintilla. That means anything in legal terms. First of all, that a death occurred in Lafayette County, if it did occur. Second of all, any trace evidence in his apartment by their own proof that they say they're going to put on, he went over there twice, apparently engaged in sexual activity on 2 separate occasions, according to their proof. 0. I'm not saying speculatively, it is their proof that a crime was ever committed inside our client's apartment, or in the parking lot, or in his car, or in Jay Lee's car. Nowhere. Now, remember yesterday in council, Mr. Creekmore, I've known a long time, he said, ladies and gentlemen, We think we're gonna have a gamut of opportunities for you to find Mr. Herrington guilty of murder, manslaughter. What they're expecting you to do is to allow them to throw something up against the wall, hope it sticks, and you decide, hey, that's the proof you're going to hear.
Objection. Argument.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Go ahead, just
you are not going to hear anything that supports a finding of a killing or a death. Period. You're going to hear some conversations between two young guys. Like I told y'all yesterday, I've had 7 kids. These kids nowadays send stuff back and forth to each other. That's what happened here. You're not going to find anything supporting whatsoever that inside his apartment anything untoward occurred. And finally, and probably most importantly, I want you to listen to a lot of the things during the course of this investigation that didn't occur. I'm going to say it now, and I'm going to repeat myself. 22,000 documents we've had provided and discovered, 7 law enforcement agencies, 71 search warrants, 71. And if they're going to be honest with you during the course of this presentation, when Miss Lee came up here and came to the University Police Department, they covered their whole department. Everybody got involved in this investigation. Our police department then got involved in it. They inquired with the FBI, Grenada County Sheriff's Department. 71 search warrants. And they haven't recovered not one bit of direct evidence to support this case. And I challenge the prosecution and the Oxford Police Department, Ryan Baker, nice fella, Jamie Portner, nice fella, challenge them to say we have one bit of direct evidence. You can't go on conjecture, you can't go on speculation, you can't go on suspicion. Guesswork, wonderment, all those things you can't do. Got to be factual. And I submit to you, ladies and gentlemen, this conversation or this search that she made reference to about strangling, we don't have any idea what the context of that may have been about. And they're not going to be establishing the context. That could have been something that my client was talking about, some sexual activity with a lady or even Jay Lee. Who knows? Somebody or not else. But you're not going to find that he ever acted any evidence in that apartment. He acted in any way, shape, form, or fashion. I submit to you, ladies and gentlemen, that at the conclusion of this case, you're going to have just as many questions then as you do right now about whether or not they've proven the death. You will, in my opinion, and I submit to you, you will not be satisfied if they've established that. Only verdict that you can return is going to be not guilty, not the manslaughter, not the second degree, not the murder, certainly not the capital murder, or any of them. And that's what I'm going to ask you to do. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, the jury, before we call our first witness, I got just one little short matter I got to take care of. Y'all wouldn't turn the jury. Don't be calm. We're not going to be there long anyway. Somebody find what rat's in the attic and get rid of it anyway. I don't know what's going on up there, but get that stopped anyway. All right, I'm gonna have to, here on the first row, the court has entered an order that there can't be any T-shirts or any displays of support for one side or the other. You're welcome to stay, but I know people have strong emotions and strong feelings, but we can't be displaying any signs or T-shirts or anything like that for either side. And so if you would, you're welcome to stay, but we'll have to cover any of that up, okay? Take any buttons or pins or T-shirts or cover them or change clothes or something anyway. All right, that officer at the back, if y'all would see anybody trying to come in with a T-shirt or sticker or anything, let them come in once they've turned it inside out or covered it up or something, okay? Court being recessed just about 2 minutes. Hey, Kevin, y'all approach anyway. Is your first witness somebody we need to argue with?
Stephanie.
Who's
Stephanie.
the mother?
And
We
then
need-
next would be Jennifer Buford. Do we have any?
Let's, is there any objection to the first witness, Stephanie?
Sitting in the courtroom during open session.
I don't impose the rule.
Okay.
Did I put Betty on? Okay. That's one down, we ain't got to
Let's
argue
get
about it.
Stephanie out of the way, except I don't want any live video.
And at one time,
Yeah, I don't impose a rule until the first witness.
When you turn your head to it,
You gonna put a couple witnesses on the list?
Are we ready for our first witness? Well, everybody get together, back up, and we'll get started anyway. Okay. We,
We got them all back.
we can get Mr. Creekmore back, we'll get kicked off. Ready, Mr. Creekmore?
Yes, sir.
All right, everybody gather back up anyway. Show the jury in. All right, everybody good on the jury? I want y'all to know that noise y'all was hearing in the attic is just not, we decided to work on the roof at random today. We're trying to get the heat going for you anyway, so bear with us, and I told them to try to hold off on that till lunch, okay? Who in the state calls the first witness?
Your Honor, this time the state calls Miss Stephanie Lee.
Stephanie Lee?
Yes, Your Honor.
Somebody bring in Miss Lee, please.
Your Honor, I don't want to waive any objections I had to the remainder of the list, but
We'll deal with those objections. You're not waiving anything. Turn around, Miss Lee. Face the court reporter there and be sworn in, please.
You also have to do that side. Or you can sit here and do it when we get to that point. You can sit here and do it when we get to that point. Yeah.
We're not used to having good microphones around here. We do today. Keep that in mind. The mics are hot as a firecracker anyway when you're trying to have any private conversations. All right. She's been sworn. All right, you may proceed.
Miss Lee, please introduce yourself to the jury.
My name is Stephanie Lee. I'm the mother of Jimmie Jay Lee III.
And you said you're the mother of Jimmie Dale J. Lee III?
Yes, ma'am.
So what did Jay Lee like? What did he like to be called?
Jay.
Okay. Is that what y'all refer to him as?
Yes, ma'am. He's always wanted to be called Jay since early on.
You could tell me where are you from, Miss Lee?
I'm Jackson, Mississippi.
And is that where Jay was raised?
Yes, born and raised in Jackson, Mississippi.
So did he go to high school in Jackson?
Yes, ma'am. Started off at Oak Forest Elementary, then later on went to Southwell Middle School and Forest Hill, where he graduated from Forest Hill.
All right, can everybody hear on him?
What else do you know here? All right. I'm calling the court judge. I'm going to somebody who not anyway.
And when did Jay graduate?
2019.
And can you tell us a little bit about his schoolwork? Was he a good student?
Jay was very outgoing. In ninth grade, Jay started doing IB classes, international ed classes, so that he can advance his career. He then later proceeded to do IB classes. Once he did IB classes, went on to Jim Hill to do another accessory program to advance careers. Jay graduated at the top of his class, top 10 of his class. His dream was to come here to Ole Miss to complete his education in social work and a minor in business.
So did he eventually come to Ole Miss?
Eventually, yes. Jay's decision said, I want to go to Ole Miss. Ole Miss is my choice. And I said, okay, that's where you want to go. And we got everything set up and got moved down here. And he said, Mom, I'm going to go down there and I'm going to get my bachelor's degree within 3 years. I said, okay, you're going to do that? He said, yeah, I've got everything set up where he graduated early in high school. He said, so I'll be able to complete college within 3 years instead of 4 years. And Jay did come down here and complete that and make that happen.
So when did he come to Oxford to go to Ole Miss? What year?
Coming this summer right after graduation.
So would that be about 2019?
Yes, ma'am.
And when did he graduate from Ole Miss?
I think it was 2020.
Was it the same year he went missing?
Yes, ma'am.
So would 2022 be around the right time?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Ms. Lee, if you could tell me, what did Jay major in at Ole Miss?
Social work with a minor in business.
And did you attend his graduation?
Yes, me, my mother, his sister, his dad, my other daughter and her family.
And would that have been around May 2022?
Yes, ma'am.
You said, if you tell me, how many siblings, other children do you have?
4. It's a total 4. It's 3 others.
And where is Jay in that line?
Jay is my baby.
And how much older are his siblings?
7 to 8 years older.
So when Jay went to college, who paid for his college?
His dad did the majority of the payments.
So did Jay, how was Jay financially supported while in school?
His father.
And is that your husband?
Yes, ma'am. Both of us contribute, me and his father.
So after Jay graduated with social work degree, do you know what his plans were?
He was getting his bachelor's, so his plans was to go back the next fall to complete his master's.
And do you remember what apartment Jay lived in? Or,
Campus Walk. Campus Walk.
And is that on Ole Miss campus?
Yes, ma'am.
So that was like student housing?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let's go a little bit more. What about Jay's car? How did Jay get around?
When he first came down to Ole Miss, one of the cars that we already had purchased early on in the years, he drove that here so that he could have transportation. But later on, he came to me and his father and said, Mom, I see this car that I want. Can your dad get it for me? So we proceeded to get it for him.
And what kind of car was that?
A Ford Fusion, 2015 Ford Fusion.
And so you all bought that for Jay?
Yes, we did.
Do you remember how Jay felt about his car?
Loved this car, loved it. He proceeded to put electronics in it and order things off the internet and put things in it and to make it his own.
And do you know if he borrowed it out or let people drive it?
No, ma'am, never would do it.
Would it be fair to say he was protective of that car?
Very much so.
You said earlier that he came here. Did Jay have any pets or animals?
Yes, ma'am. Jay had Lexus. Lexus is a family dog that we had early on.
So about when did the family get Lexus?
It's been we had the dog about 13 years, about 10 to 13 years.
And how old was Jay when he went missing?
20.
Mm-hmm. So we had about 15 years. He had it for a while.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And where was this dog? Was it with you all?
Came down here with Jay in Oxford.
So he lived with his dog on student housing?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me about how that transpired.
So the first year Jay came down, Jay was like, Mom, I gotta have Lexus. I want Lexus here with me. And I said, well, you can't have the dog at the school, I don't think. He said, Mom, I think it can happen. I think it can be made happen. So Jay got with the counselors and everything, and then next fall that he's completed school and campus walk, Jay was allowed to bring Lexus here with them.
And kind of describe, like, what kind of dog is Lexus?
A Pomeranian.
So, in July 2022, where did Lexus live?
With Jay.
I want you to tell me a little bit about Jay's financial situation. Did Jay have any credit cards?
Yes, only early on in life, when Jay was in junior high, his dad proceeded to get him a credit card to start establish credit for him. So yes, Jay had a credit card in 7th or 8th grade.
And what was his credit like?
I'm a 800.
Looking to object to anything up to this point in time, I fail to see the relevance as to the line of question at this time.
I'm going to overrule your objection. I think they're laying a foundation for the case, and I'm going to overrule your objection.
You said he had credit cards. Who paid the credit cards?
His father.
So who funded Jay's life, would it be fair to say?
Myself and his father.
I want to go back to July 8th, 2022. Is that day significant to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me why that day is significant to you.
That's my birthday, July 8th.
Okay. And what about July 8th, 2022? Did anything else happen that day?
Yes, July 8th, 2022 it's a hard day to not forget. That was my birthday, and Jay would call me every year on my birthday to sing happy birthday, no matter what time it was. So around that time, about 2 o'clock in the morning, I was asleep, and he texted me and said it was your birthday.
So before we go any further, I want to backtrack a little bit. You said every year he would call you to sing happy birthday, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me about your relationship with Jay. How often did you all talk?
Every day.
And when you say every day, was that because you called him every day? He called you? What happened?
That was every day. We both was been daily calling each other. He would communicate with me about school, what was going on. We would talk about work and different things of life expect. And it was not a day that would go by that we would not communicate with each other.
And when you say communicate, do you mean text or phone call, just phone calls?
Phone calls.
And more than once a day or just once a day?
I would talk to Jay 2 or 3 times a day when I get up in the morning, and in the evening on my way home from work, before I go to bed at night. You know, it was a touch base at all times.
And he would reach out to you too?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so let's go back to July 8th. You said it was your birthday, and I believe you said that you got a text at 2 a.m., but you didn't get it. When did you receive Jay's text message?
So I woke up about maybe in the 4 o'clock hour, and I went into his room. I don't know what led me there, but I went into his room, and I looked at my phone, and I seen that he had texted me at 2. But Jay holds a job also here, and so I said, okay, I won't call him back now because maybe he's sleeping. I'll get back in communication with him a little while. By the time I think he'd get up for work.
So you said Jay holds a job. Well, before that, you went to his room. Where were you located?
I was in Jackson, Mississippi.
Okay. And that's where you currently still live?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You said he had a job. What job did he have?
Mental health program here. It was his internship. He was doing his interns within a mental health program here.
Was that for like class credit?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So jump back in. You said that you went to his room, you thought, I'm not gonna bother him. Did you ever try to reach out to him again?
I kind of nodded off a little bit, trying to give him enough time to get up. But in the morning at 7 o'clock, because me and his dad was getting ready to travel because it was my birthday, so I kind of like responded to a text where he's a happy face, to letting him know that I received his text because, not sure if he was getting up for work or whatever he was going to be doing. So we were in the process of getting ready to go out of town to Biloxi, Mississippi, and I gave him a text back with a smiley face.
And what were you expecting?
I was expecting his call at that point because of him knowing that I'm up. Okay, the first thing he's gonna do, hey mama, it's your birthday, happy birthday, I love you,
And that was every year he called you and sang that?
Yes.
And did you get a response?
No, I did not.
And about what time was this?
It was in the 7 o'clock hour. So when I did not receive that response,
And you're talking about AM or PM?
AM,
Okay. So go on. When you didn't receive that response, what did you do?
I kind of brushed it off a little bit, saying maybe he was sleeping because he had been up earlier on texting me. So I said, okay, maybe he's sleeping. He'll get in touch with me as soon as possible. So me and his dad proceeded to go out of town.
And what were your plans for that day?
My plans was my husband was taking me out for my birthday when we was going to drive down to Biloxi for my birthday.
About how long does it take to get from Jackson to Biloxi?
Roughly about 3 hours.
So you tried to call him, he didn't answer.
Yes, in the process of going down there, I hadn't received a call, and that wasn't normal. And I was driving down there, I was looking at his location, I said, it's not like Jay not to call me, all days he's gonna call me, but, like when we traveling, he would call, hey, I see you all are here, I see you all are there, where are you going,
And how would he see you or places? You saying, I see you all are here, I see you all are there. What are you referring to?
We shared these locations. He had my location, I had his location.
And this was using your phone?
The iPhones, yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
And you said you checked his location. When you checked his location, what did you see?
When I first seen his location, when I first checked his location, he was showing he was at Campus Walk, at his apartment. And that was early on. And so, like I said, we proceeded to go on out of town. And once we proceeded to go on out of town, during the trip, I just told my husband, I said, I hadn't heard from Jay. This is not normal. I said, Jay would have called, and which my husband knows already too. He said, that's strange. He ain't called. I said, yes, he hadn't called. I hadn't heard from the early on text. And I was just worried the whole trip down there. So we proceeded to go on down there. And we got to our destination, and I just continued to try and call Jay periodically throughout the day, and didn't get a response.
And so after trying to call him and not getting a response, what did you do?
It was later on in the evening, so.
This is still July 8th?
Yes, ma'am, it's
Okay.
still July 8th. It was later on in the evening, and I told my husband, I said, I'm just puzzled. I'm not content with not being able to communicate with him. And he said, baby, what we'll do, we'll lay here tonight and we'll go to Oxford first thing in the morning. And that's what we did.
And did you reach out to anyone in Oxford?
I did. In the process of that, I made a number of calls to Oxford PD, doing wellness check. I called periodically through the day of July 8th, probably 9, 10 times, maybe more, I'm not sure, but I kept calling and telling them that I needed them to go and do a wellness check with my baby. And
So on July 8th, you did report that you were worried about him to authorities in Oxford.
yes, ma'am.
So I believe you said that night, did y'all stay in Biloxi? Kind of go back through that.
Yes, ma'am, we did. We stayed there. And in the process of staying there, this is when his location went off, like someone discarded his phone, whereby they had a star up there where I couldn't see his location. So I proceeded to call, I knew that he communicated with Jose. So I reached out to my oldest child and I said, can you communicate with Jose? Can you find his number on Instagram or somewhere so maybe he can go over to the apartment to see if he see Jay's car or something, what's going on, because they can't contact Jay. So in the process of this, Taylor communicated with Jose, and Jose went over to the apartment, and he communicated back with us and said, well, Mama Lee, I hear the dog in the house, I hear Lexus there. And Jay wouldn't leave Lexus too often because Jay take Lexus everywhere he go. And I hear the dog in the apartment, but I don't see Jay's car. And also, Jay shared location with
I hate to
Jose here too.
object to hearsay, Your Honor. I know it's a touchy situation. Unfortunately,
And also Jay shared locations too.
hearsay statements at this time, Your Honor.
Hearsay as to what, right,
The witness
Wait.
told her about it.
all right, what's the state's?
Your Honor, we are not offering this. One, and the state didn't elicit any of that, but two, we're not offering it for the truth of the matter, Your Honor. We're offering it to show why she was calling up to Oxford for a welfare check, how she's going to later, she's getting into they're going to go up to Oxford. It's not being offered to say that he was or wasn't there, but for the effect on Miss Lee.
Overrule your objection. I'm gonna limited, very limited, okay?
Is there a way we could get her some water or something?
You can get a water too, please.
Your Honor,
Thank you.
I'm gonna make my objection clear. She wasn't objecting to the fact that she reacted on behalf of the conversation. It's just whether or not there's hearsay, and I understand the court's ruling, but we're limited.
We're gonna move on from that line of question anyway.
So, Miss Lee, without going into what anyone said, did you, this point we were, you checked with Jose. Who is Jose?
Jose is Jay's friend.
And after hearing from Jose and not hearing back from Jay, what did you and your husband do next while in Biloxi?
We packed up our bags, and we packed our bags, and we drove across from Biloxi, Mississippi, all the way here to Oxford, Mississippi.
And when you got here, did you go to Jay's apartment?
We went directly to Jay's apartment. Yes, ma'am.
Was he there?
No, ma'am, he was not.
And did you contact law enforcement when you got there?
Yes, we did.
Had Jay been found by that point?
No, ma'am.
Since that time, have you heard from Jay Lee, your son, again?
No, ma'am.
So what was the last thing you ever heard from your son?
It's your birthday with that text that he sent.
And that was at 2 a.m. on July 8th?
Yes, ma'am.
And since that time, I know you talked about, the credit cards. Have there been any charges that you've had to pay for Jay's credit cards?
No, ma'am.
Even to, this is 2022, it's now December 3rd, 2024. Since that time, have there been any charges on those cards?
No, ma'am.
Have there been any withdrawals from his accounts?
No, ma'am.
You said Lexus?
Yes.
Where is Lexus now?
With Jay's sister, Taylor Carey.
And who took Lexus from Oxford?
My daughter, Jessica Coleman.
So did Jay ever come back and get Lexus?
No, ma'am.
Did you all ever get Jay's stuff from Oxford?
It's still here being housed in Oxford. We got some.
So y'all came and got some of his stuff?
Yes, ma'am.
Did y'all had access to his apartment?
Yes, ma'am.
When you had access to his apartment, were his bags packed?
No, ma'am.
Were items of clothing missing?
No, ma'am.
From what you could tell, were his prized possessions still there?
Yes, ma'am.
You stated that you and Jay talk every day.
Yes, ma'am.
Was Jay happy?
Yes, he was.
Did he ever express to you anything about wanting to end his life?
No, ma'am.
Brief indulgence. Has Jay ever disappeared for long periods of time?
No, ma'am.
Since you gave birth to him, have you ever gone a day without talking to him?
No, ma'am.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness? Ms. Lee, do you recognize this photograph?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
And does that photograph accurately represent what Jay looked like in 2022 when he was 20 years old?
Yes, ma'am.
And has there been any alterations to it since it was provided to the state?
No, ma'am.
Your Honor. And who was it a picture of? I apologize.
It's my son, Jay Lee. That's his first day at his first job when he first graduated high school.
Your Honor, at this time I move to enter into evidence a photograph of Jay.
Any objections? Any objections? All right, photograph will be admitted as, you gonna do these S1s and D1s, or how you doing?
S1.
All right. S1 be admitted.
Your Honor, may I publish the jury?
You may. Let the bailiff, oh, you gonna do it the new fangled way, go ahead.
You just put it in?
We can display it up there. There we go.
Y'all screens working over there? Okay, let me know if they ever don't, okay?
Okay.
Help you with the
There's a little
sun.
bit of glare. How do I get rid of it? Oh, it's just a screen? It's just my screen. Okay. Miss Lee,
Yes.
is that the photo, S1 of, I believe it's S1 that you just identified of your son?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that, that accurately represents what he looked like when you last saw him?
Actually, he had braids. He had put some braids in his hair.
Okay, so having braids in his hair, how did Jay normally like to dress?
Flamboyant.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you very well.
He's real flamboyant. He's had this outgoing, he would put on silk slacks and shirts, flower shirts, nice shirts to go with it. And
So you said he flamboyantly dressed?
yes,
Okay. And he was a happy kid?
he's very happy.
Okay. Everybody good on the jury? All right. You may cross to them.
Jury done with the exhibit, Your Honor?
You can move if you like. Let the court report.
Okay, I got you. I did. Ms. Lee, good morning.
When
This photograph, your direct testimony that this was taken when he graduated high school, is that correct? Or
it was
shortly
the
after?
summer, so it was shortly after.
And when did he braid his hair? Did he do that shortly after he got to Ole Miss?
It was different times he would do it. It wasn't shortly after, it was different times. He would wear different hairstyles.
Okay. And for purposes of the record, you stated you went to Oxford and arrived about what time?
Can't give you an exact time that I arrived.
Okay. And prior to this particular date, can you tell me the last time you had been to Jay Lee's apartment?
I came down and last time I came, his apartment was in May when he graduated college.
Okay.
Receiving his bachelor's degree.
So in May, you came to see him
Graduate.
graduate, went by his apartment in May, and the next time would have been July the 8th when you left?
No, that's not correct.
Okay, when's
He
the next
also
time?
came down for the 4th of July holiday.
Okay.
He had just left home for the 4th of July holiday. He came down for the holiday weekend.
I just want to make sure, you came to graduation 4th of July weekend, and did you stay at Jay's Park?
No, actually, he came home for the holiday, 4th of July.
No, I'm sorry, Ms. Lee, I don't think you understood my question. If I ask a question and. you
What was your
My
question?
question was the last time you had come to Oxford and been to his
The
apartment?
last time I came in May when he graduated college.
That's what, so he came home in July,
That's correct.
all right, and he had the braids in his hair at that time?
No, he did not.
Okay, but he wore braids regularly and dressed flamboyantly during this time frame of July the 8th.
Different times he would change his sense of style, his hairstyles.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Lee, that's all I have.
All right, are you ready?
Ms. Lee, you said the last time you saw, was July 4th the last time you saw Jay in person?
Actually, it was July 6th before I went to work that morning. Jay was at home, but he also had a job that he holds, so he went to leave Jackson to come back to Oxford before I got off work that evening.
Okay. And the July 4th holiday was like a family thing?
It was a family gathering, yes, ma'am.
So he was in Jackson July 4th and then July 6th, and he went back up to Oxford for work for July 7th?
Yes, ma'am.
No further questions.
This witness be finally excused so that she can be in the courtroom.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Lee, you're excused as a witness. If you wish to stay in the courtroom, you can, or you're free to go. Which one you like, okay? On our next witness, sir, we're gonna need some time before. Y'all discuss that and see if we're going to need to ask the jury to step out.
Yes.
Y'all gonna get plenty of exercise. It's gonna be a little short burst, but y'all gonna get a lot of exercise, especially the man, a guy on the truck with you, right? A lot of exercise. Remember the court's instructions, don't discuss the case, don't express or form any opinions about the case. All right, Mr. Creekmore, who would you state call as the next witness?
The state will call Jennifer Buford.
Jennifer Buford. I understand there's objection to Ms. Buford's testimony.
It is.
Tell me what that objection is.
Her name was disclosed in the 1121 disclosure of witness. This morning, I received from the state contents of emails between Ms. Buford and apparently Jay Lee, the alleged victim in this case this morning. I would object to, first of all, the untimely disclosure on the 21st, and certainly the untimely disclosure content.
On the 21st, was anything revealed to you as to what the nature of Ms. Buford's testimony was intended to be?
It was not.
What is the intended nature of Ms. Buford's testimony?
She is the advisor at the University of Mississippi for Jay Lee. And, you know, her name was disclosed top of the list on November 21st, 2024. Prior to that, there should have been, at one of the discovery conferences, I'm sure we've talked about her and made her available, anybody available, and what they intended to say.
That's,
I don't know.
was the defense advised of what the nature of Ms. Buford's testimony was going to be? That's a yes or no. That's a yes or no, not necessarily in writing, but at some point was Ms. Buford, what Ms. Buford's proposed testimony, was that provided to the defense or not?
It should have been in the discovery.
Let's get down to yes or no's. And now y'all are all officers of the court. It was or it wasn't anyway.
Okay. As officer of the court, again,
It,
8:45 this morning, we received the email of conversations.
Prior to that, was the defense advised as to what the nature of Ms. Buford's proposed testimony was, whether it be orally, writtenly, or anything else?
I believe that they would be able to look back in October of this year when subpoenas were issued for her records. And there would have been a return on the subpoena. And I know that we, as a rule, have them sent to defense, so they should have the return on the spend that we got from that October 2024.
Do you have a copy of that subpoena and what it asked for?
It should be in the file now.
I was hoping that somebody besides me would look, for y'all just, do y'all don't have an independent copy, other than the court's file here?
I don't have it right now.
When would that have been?
October 2024.
Y'all have that on the computer? Look right now and see if you've got a subpoena for the records of Miss Buford and what specifically that subpoena asked for.
September 30th of 2024, Your Honor. I've got a electronic copy of it. Email records between Jennifer Buford, University of Mississippi employee, and Jimmie Jay Lee, University of Mississippi student.
Just let me look at it anyway, if you don't mind.
What date was that?
September 30th.
Was the defense copy made aware of this subpoena?
They should have gotten it whenever we filed it.
Can't hear what you're saying, Your Honor.
Well, I guess it'd be more proper for me to talk to Mr. Creekmore. I've looked at it. You can take it. You can take it. Procedurally, when a subpoena was issued in this matter, how, if any manner, was the defense copied on the subpoenas?
I think we've been sending them copies. And if not, MEC should send them to them.
Subpoena was filed under seal, Your Honor.
I'm hearing a lot of, I think, and I'd like to hear a lot of yes or no.
Didn't receive anything.
Will the defense represent the court that they did not receive this copy of this subpoena?
I'll ask.
That's yes or no, anyway.
We did go and get a copy from the clerk later on, a copy of sealed subpoenas. We have not gotten any return on that subpoena. None has been filed, I don't believe, in the court file.
So the defense has received a copy where the state subpoenaed the email records of Ms. Buford concerning the emails.
We retrieved that copy. We did, Your Honor.
I'd like to see the emails yourself, which going to be proposed and introduced into evidence.
We're not going to use the emails themselves. And I sent the emails to them this morning, just so they would have them available.
You're not going to attempt to introduce those emails into evidence?
No, sir, just to get into what was the nature of their discussions. Her as an advisor to Jay Lee, and they would have them available. And I knew she was going to be called as a witness. There's a lot of documents, and I'm pretty sure that when we've instructed our investigator to get with their office to make sure that everything we have is everything that we have, I assume that was part of it.
What was a part of it?
The emails.
The emails?
Right. So sending them today was just putting them on notice that we did intend to call Ms. Buford as a witness, and she is the first witness on the state's disclosure.
I'm not gonna let you introduce any emails between, tell me what, if you're not gonna introduce any, try to introduce emails between the parties, what is the proposed testimony of Ms. Buford?
That she was Jay Lee's advisor, that he graduated with honors, that she was also over the internship program and was supervising him during the internship. Even though he walked, he still had that internship program that he was doing the summer of 2022, in July of 2022. Plus, he also had, she had communications with him about Lexi, the dog, being able to be with him on campus. And that's it.
What's added to that, what's added to that we hadn't already heard anyway? What of that has not been covered by his mama, Mr. Lee's mother?
The fact that it comes from the advisor in an independent relationship. She is his advisor, supervisor over the internship program, and that he independently had communications with her about his school, about the dog. These are all important to establish that he's not the kind of person that is just going to be leaving these
I'm
behind.
gonna limit it, very limited, and I'll cut you off real short. I'm gonna let you talk very limited about Miss Buford. She was listed on the witness list. Those text messages, unless the state can state affirmatively that those emails were provided to the state, and to the defense, and I see the defense shaking their head that there wasn't, unless the state is prepared to say that they, prior to this morning, gave those emails. I'm not going to let those emails be introduced into evidence this time, but I will let you question her about the relationship. You want to say something, go ahead. Okay.
Your Honor, first of all, I mean, I'm not going to have to do this on every witness that we're going to have on this thing. It's giving an impression to the jury that I'm trying to, that I'm objecting, and I don't know how to handle it.
The jury's not here, right?
I understand that, but I'm voicing my objections in front of the
I
jury.
understand your objection. I'm gonna cut the state off real short about.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Keep it very brief, very limited to,
Is she here in the courtroom? Or close, so I can ask her a couple of questions?
I'll give you an opportunity. All right.
Where is
Somebody get Miss Buford,
She's in that.
y'all let her talk.
Chair.
I'll let the email in, so. Hey, I'm just. All right. All right, are we ready? All right, the objections of the defense will be noted for the record. I am going to exclude the introduction or references of any emails at this time, but I will allow a limited examination of Ms. Buford in the nature of what was enlisted as proposed testimony anyway. So if somebody would get Ms. Buford, please. Do you have an opportunity to talk to Ms. Buford?
We did.
Yeah, bring the jury in. Come around, Ms. Buford. We'll get the jury slated and then we'll get you sworn in, okay? All right, you may be, let's swear the witness, please. Come around and have a seat with this witness, sir. You may proceed when ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Can you tell the jury who you are and what you do?
Hi, my name is Jennifer Buford. I work at the University of Mississippi in the Department of Social Work. I serve as a clinical instructor of social work and field education director. And Jay Lee was in my class at the time that he went missing.
All right. How long have you been in that position?
I've worked at the University of Mississippi for approximately 12 years.
And have you been a field supervisor? Is that what you called it?
Field education director.
Field education director. What does that mean?
I supervise field education internships for social work students at both the bachelor's and the master's level.
Okay. Placing students in a professional setting.
That's correct. Making
Students.
sure that they meet CSWE competencies as they are practicing.
Okay. And you said Jay Lee was a participant, and what was his major? Do you know?
Social work.
Social work.
He's a bachelor's of social work student.
Okay. Were there requirements, like standards before they could participate?
Sure.
In that internship program?
Before they can intern, students are required to complete all other classwork, all classes aside from the internship and seminar class.
All right, so in May of 2022, had Jay Lee completed his requirements for his degree?
All of the requirements aside from the internship and seminar class, which is a 12-hour class.
And as far as those requirements, do you know whether he graduated with any kind of honors or anything of that nature? Do you know?
His graduation was an honorary
Okay.
graduation because he wasn't there to complete.
Okay. But as far as scholastic honors, do you know whether he had any scholastic honors?
No, I do not.
Okay. You're saying he didn't, or you don't know?
I don't know that he did, yeah.
Okay. And do you know whether he participated in any groups, organizations on the campus?
He was a member of the Black Student Union Association and ASB,
Okay.
Associated Student Body, and worked with the LGBTQ community on campus.
Okay. With that organization, do you know if he held any positions in those organizations?
From his email signature, he said he was director
Okay.
of that.
All right. Can you tell the jury how long when you first became aware of Jay Lee in a professional capacity, him as a student and you as a field education advisor?
So I met Jay Lee in the fall of 2021 when he was enrolled in Social Work 335, which is Social Work Practice 1. My next class with Jay Lee was in the spring of 2022, where he was enrolled with Fields of Social Work, where we were preparing for the internship experience in that class. And then the last time in the summer of 2022, where he was completing his internship experience.
Were you able to make any observations about him as a person, his personality?
Yeah, I mean, Jay Lee was a strong presence. He was very outspoken, expressive, and he communicated his thoughts and feelings, very well.
Do you know whether he had a pet?
I do know that he had a pet because he reached out to me once the fall semester, the first semester, and asked if it was okay if he could bring his pet to class.
All right. Did you authorize that?
No, I could not authorize that because it was against the policies. But he, asked every one of his teachers if he could bring his Pomeranian, I believe it was, who he'd had for 10 years.
All right. Did you actually recommend that he be placed in an internship setting?
I met with him to discuss various options, including what his interests were and what internships were available. And through that, we together decided that CPS was the choice that he actually ended up working at, Lafayette County CPS. So, and
What is the Lafayette County CPS?
that's Child Protective Services.
And what do they do?
They protect the children of Lafayette County from child abuse, neglect,
Things of that nature?
investigate, yes.
All right. And your responsibilities as the field advisor, while he was in that program, would you have been in contact with him
Oh, yes.
daily, weekly?
Our class would meet on Fridays, usually from 10 to 12. Other than that, I would meet, as a matter of fact, the last time I met with him and the field instructor was in June, mid-June,
Okay.
for our midterm evaluation. Just to
Midterm
kind of-
evaluation. So on July 8th of 2022, would Jay Lee have been still placed with the Lafayette County CPS?
That's correct.
How long was that program to continue?
Until the
Until he got
end
his
of
response.
July. Okay, so he had to complete 400 hours during that summer.
And do you know how many hours he had completed up until July the 8th?
He was within a few weeks of being finished.
So he wasn't done?
No.
Okay. And how did you find out that he never showed back up at his spot as an intern at Lafayette County CPS after July the 8th?
I believe his field instructor reached out and told me that he was not at the internship. And she was just kind of concerned about him. Yeah.
Your Honor, on the way far, I understand it was testimony was going to be.
Let's bring it to an end anyway.
Had anybody ever contacted you about Jay Lee not showing up? where he was supposed to be prior to that?
Prior to that, no.
That's all I have.
Cross-examination?
Your Honor, no questions for this witness.
All right. May this witness be finally excused?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for being here, Ms. Buford. You're welcome to stay, but you're free to go, okay? All right. Normally lunch is whenever we get to a stopping point. And today, the stopping point just happens to be at the time your lunch gets here anyway. We got lucky today, but don't expect us to be so punctual every time. But most days, rather than trying to herd you up and get you here, there, and the other, we're going to bring your lunch to you in the jury room. We're going to carry you out at night and feed you a good meal. But we're going to let you eat here today. Remember the court's instructions. Don't discuss the case even amongst your fellow jurors. Don't inform or express any opinions. Don't let anyone talk to you about the case. And don't try to investigate the case. That being said, have a good lunch. And we'll be ready to start back at 1, okay? Court being recessed until 1 o'clock for the lunch break.
I'll look at it.
I'll be back here
Yeah, I've got another splitter report to show up too.
Well, we have 3 more.
Okay, what do you
All we need is pick the buffet,
I know, right?
My responsibility is to know the stops right there with that splitter.
And they reached out to you. What's up? So I was copied on the message several months ago. Do you have it?
Oh, we can go this way?
And there was a message that said,
Is there a way for me to bring this closer to the here, I don't remember what it says. We're here to help.
You can pull
Yeah, so I don't know if you got it or not.
I can't see you.
Right now, it's, I'm focused on.
I know.
But if you want to start working on that,
Oh.
email me. If this is my thing, I get it. When you're back here, she'll figure out everything. Send me an email, see if I get it. I get your ads and I'll send it, I'll respond to you and we'll figure it out. You sure? I mean,
Yeah, I'll move the
I have to
traffic.
leave to a class.
Oh, okay, go.
I mean, I don't have to
Okay.
be class until tomorrow. So, but I was, I mean, I know I'm gonna be back later.
Okay.
All right, just do this later. Let's do this later. Excellent. Let's do this later.
Yeah.
I will, when I'm back at my computer and actually see more, and I didn't lug it over here because I really want to ask you. My last name is a little bit of a nightmare, and sometimes I have trouble with getting emails to cover things. Well, I mean, I was responding.
Let me just.
Oh, yeah, I'll go with this.
It's not big.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, we got the same chart.
It wasn't.